Big updates when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. We've got new information coming out from exactly what you can expect from this game, because there are a lot of enhancements that Nintendo did not detail in the most recent Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch 2 edition trailer. So we're going to break down all of that and some more Nintendo Switch 2 news. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers, or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. Shoutouts to Palvo over on Twitter. He rounded up the information of what you can expect, and there's some really good stuff here. We are using the Grok Translate from Spanish, so keep in mind it might not be a perfect translation, but this is accurate in terms of what you can expect. All right, so we've got recording the last 30 seconds with the console's function, field skills, work with blades we don't have equipped, no longer have to constantly switch blades to travel around all rest. This is probably the biggest thing when it comes to what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 needed to update. Those field skills were a nuisance. I wanted somebody arrested after those field skills were implemented. It was such a bad system, and they got that figured out to where now you can easily have the field skills when it comes to the blade. So this is phenomenal and makes the game significantly better just with that update. But there's more that we have to talk about, and unfortunately there's only still one single save slot, so that's unfortunate. But Jomark has a new voice actor, Sam Douglas. Momo has a new English voice actress, and there's also some additional references when it comes to Momo and what she can do. Now, we also have more updates here from Palvo. So Zeke also got a new voice actor, Felix Malter, and I probably said that name wrong. The battle narrator gets a new voice actor, Rich Kabeel. Momo's new weapon uses the same arts as Mobius, but they must be upgraded separately. Logical Beat, just like in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, have worked on this version. Yoshiro Takeda is the writer for Momo's side quest. Momo and Momo Eye share affinity, meaning you need only to farm 20 love filters. You can now press the L plus R to take a screenshot without the UI. They haven't fixed the zombie hover, thank God. So pretty cool updates and upgrades there. We know that the game is running at 4K 60 FPS. Some people have reported that there are similar types of upscaling issues or things like we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and potentially even Xenoblade Chronicles X, but maybe not quite as bad. Now, I have looked at the gameplay. People are uploading footage and everything, and it looks really good. I didn't have as much of an issue when it comes to the look of the game with Xenoblade X, but I know that it was there. I really enjoyed the 60 FPS and the just smoothness bump when it comes to going from 30 to 60. And Xenoblade games were like 30 with dips. There was consistent dips. So getting that at 60 to me kind of trumps everything else when it comes to the look of the game. Now, we also have an update when it comes to the gathering. It is significantly faster. We've got a Japanese user, Sobatake397, that showed this off. And yes, it is so much faster now to gather the materials here. Before, it took a long time and you'd see the person's picture come up and it just was not fast enough. But now it's a lot quicker to gather the materials and everything. So once again, another good update for this, and there's probably more. That's just the beginning. We don't know all the other stuff. We have to see about the blade rates. I don't know if anybody has restarted the campaign yet and showing the footage from there, because people are just going into the save files that they already have and playing from there, which is fine. That's pretty much what most people do. Obviously, you don't have another slot. Like, there's only one slot when it comes to the saves and all that. So we're going to have to wait and see once people kind of test out how the blade rates work and really kind of get into that. But I'm thinking if they did all of this other stuff to make the quality of life features better, I have to guess that they upped the rare blade rates and what you get. Like, you don't have to spend, I don't know, 10,000 rare core crystals in order to be able to get all of the different blades in the game or more. Like, some people never got Cosmos, some people never got some of the other blades in the game. So I'm guessing that they made it to where it makes it easier to get those, considering they did all of this other stuff when it comes to quality of life. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Nintendo Switch 2 edition definitely looking good, but I think that it even looks better if you start looking towards Xenoblade Genesis and all of the work and the effort that's been put into making Xenoblade better. All of this stuff, I think, gives them more opportunity and time to look at what people are wanting and all of the feedback over the years and make sure Xenoblade Chronicles Genesis does not have those same issues with quality of life or features. We saw that with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Definitely the most polished Xenoblade game at launch for any Xenoblade game. Probably the most polished Monolith Soft game at launch was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And now at this point, I think they're going to take all of this experience and they're going to put that into Xenoblade Genesis to where when they do launch, it's going to be incredible, significantly better than some of the janky launches that we've had when it comes to Xenoblade games. So that makes me even more excited for Xenoblade Genesis, because they're seeing all of the little issues and addressing a lot of them when it comes to Xenoblade 1, which they've done multiple times, Xenoblade 2, and then we're going to get Xenoblade 3, Xenoblade X. So this is great, and I feel that it's going to pay huge dividends in the future for Monolith Soft with Xenoblade Genesis, as they've really kind of perfected and really seen exactly, okay, here's what we can do, here's our content, here's how people like to do different types of things in JRPGs, how can we do things to make it better when it comes to efficiency and quality of life. So I do feel that Xenoblade Genesis is going to be fully stacked in that type of realm, and there shouldn't be too many problems. They're going to get enough time to make the game. There's no rush to get the game out for holiday like they had with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or anything like that, or even just uncertainty with Xenoblade Chronicles 1. So I do feel that it's going to be a return to really they can take their time and make sure that this game is banging. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2, this Switch 2 edition gets me even more hyped for Xenoblade Genesis and gets me excited for the future of Monolith Soft. I think that this is a great port from what I've seen so far, and it looks like people are really excited about some of these updates that make Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a significantly better game to play. So what do you guys think about the updates here? I will be covering more. If we get another big drop on updates, I will be covering all of that. But I also want to cover a game that's coming out pretty soon here on the Nintendo Switch 2, built for the ground up for the platform, and that is Orbitals. We've got more information on exactly how co-op works, online, game share, local, game share, all that type of stuff. So on the official Orbitals Twitter account, they detailed this with a graphic. I was able to round up the information, put it out there on Twitter, and I wanted to let you guys know about it. So once again, this game is built for the ground up for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's an exclusive for right now. I do think that it'll come over to other platforms later, but they built this game with Switch 2 in mind, with that co-op right out of the box. No extra controllers or anything. Boom, you take out the Switch 2, you get the game, you have the two Joy-Cons, you can play instantly, or if you're traveling to somewhere else. So I do think that it's a good fit for what they're trying to do. Retro 80s aesthetic or early 90s retro anime aesthetic. It looks and plays great from what they've shown. Now, they do have online game shares. So the online game share, one player owns Orbitals, player 2 has a Nintendo Switch 2. The next thing is online play. Player 1 owns Orbitals, player 2 owns Orbitals, or Global Friends Pass. So they have that way to play. You have local co-op. Player 1 and player 2 play together on one Nintendo Switch 2 console. So just one system, you've got it there. And then you also have local game share. So one player owns Orbitals, player 2 has any Nintendo Switch console. So Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 1, you're going to be able to local game share it. So no matter what, you can play, because the online game share allows one player to own Orbitals, the second player to have a Switch 2, and you can just share your game with them and play online. So there's really no excuse to not play it. Some people were saying, oh, I wish it was single player and all that. And I get that, but even if someone else doesn't have the game, you can play with them. So you can grab a friend and you guys can be able to play. The game is built with co-op in mind. It's not a single player experience. You're going to need a player when it comes to like an actual person controlling the player too. If it was just the CPU or something, it would not be as impactful. Kind of like It Takes Two or No Way Out, or even Split Fiction. These games need like another player playing for it to really tick and for it to work. But you also have online play, global friend pass, that works too, local co-op, game share, everything you need to kind of get going. And remember, it is a full physical on-cart launch, and it launches on September 3rd, 2026. I think that this is exactly the type of game that fits the Nintendo Switch 2 well. It's a brand new IP. It's got an aesthetic that a lot of Nintendo fans are probably going to really like. It's got family-friendly type of action in there. You can kind of play it with your kids, or you can play it with your brother, sister, whatever the case is. And it's also one of those games to where if you're old school like me, it's going to appeal to you because of the style of the game. So there's really so many positive things about this, and I've talked about Orbitals a number of times. I think the developers at Shape Farm over there in Japan, they're doing a phenomenal job. This is their debut independent type of game. It's published by Kelper, the same people who published Expedition 33, which we did talk about that game. That's probably going to be coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2. So this is awesome. Orbitals looks great. I cannot wait to play it September 3rd. I'm definitely going to online game share with my brother. Maybe we're going to stream it. We'll see about that. So I have the physical copy coming in already locked in pre-order on Amazon, so I get that $10 off. Because if you wait for the game to actually come out, you're not going to get that $10 off. So you have to pre-order it in order to get that discount at Amazon. It might be at Walmart, but I know for sure at Amazon. So Orbitals is looking awesome. But what else is looking awesome is the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 has now outsold the GameCube in the UK, a major milestone already within a year and 1 month or something like that. A year and a month or so. Switch 2's already beat out the GameCube here. Brand new milestone. So the specific data was not provided when it comes to actual sales numbers, but it's noteworthy because the Switch 2 is looking to next outsell the Nintendo 64 in the UK, which should happen more sooner than later. So you're seeing that the Nintendo Switch 2 beating out the GameCube, now coming up on the N64, and we're just getting into the generation here. So just like the Nintendo Switch 1, obviously Switch 2 is doing really well with the sales. Now the most recent sales that we got from Nintendo is 19.86 million units sold, but that was all the way by the end of March. So we still have a number of months here. We're going to find out what they've sold here coming up in just a bit. I do think that the Nintendo Switch 2 has a realistic shot at beating out the full GameCube worldwide totals, because the total for that system is 21.74 million, and Nintendo just logged in at 19.86 million months ago. So I'm pretty sure they probably passed up the GameCube, because all they really needed here was less than 2 million units, and we know that in Japan, they had a massive month because of the price increase. So a lot of people rushed out and bought the Switch 2 in May before that price increase at the end of May. So I'm guessing that it's above it. And we have the huge jump that we're going to see for Splatoon Raiders. Now that's not going to show up in this financial report, because the upcoming financial report is for April, May, and June. So we're going to see how Star Fox did. We're going to see how Yoshi did, some of the games there. But I do feel that there's going to be another big jump when it comes to the next financial report, because it's going to include Splatoon Raiders and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. So that should be interesting to see how those games do and how it helps with the Switch 2. Then, of course, the big ones when it comes to Nintendo Switch Sports Resort and, of course, Ocarina of Time Remake. So looking forward to that. We also know that the Nintendo Switch 2 has sold over 6 million units here in the US. So it's right behind the GBA for the fastest selling GBA in the same time frame, 7 million units. Nintendo Switch 2, second fastest of all time here in the US with 6.25 million units, and it's still going. People are still picking up the system, and you've got a lot of great games coming out that's helping out, especially like Splatoon Raiders, for example. So I expect the next financial for like here in the US when it comes to Circana, I think that should be good as well. July should be pretty good because of Splatoon Raiders. More and more people are picking up the game and seeing how awesome it is. I've been playing it, any single bit of free time that I get. I've already put well over 10 hours plus, and it's hard for me because I have so much content that I have to do on the channel here and work, but I've been sneaking in any time that I can get to play the game. So I'm going to continue playing it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's one of the best games on the Switch too, and I think it's going to help push systems even higher in the UK, in the US, and of course in Japan. We're actually going to get sales numbers for Splatoon Raiders in Japan for physical tomorrow on Thursday, so that should be fun to see that. I'll definitely have a video covering what's going on there. But what do you think when it comes to everything that we talked about here? A lot of good content and information. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.